Hey, hello, and welcome to another episode of Monogatari. This week, I don't know how soon I'm gonna be this week, but it's gonna be fine. We're gonna release at some point in time on the weekend or shortly thereafter. I'd say we just jump into it. I didn't have any comments. I think I had one comment, actually, so thank you for that comment. But we didn't have a lot to discuss aside from that. We were very thorough last time, so I do believe that's probably a result of that, and that's why there's barely any comments happening here. But if you do feel like commenting something on the end of the episode, if I missed something, if you have some interesting interpretations of what happened, what transpired the episode, or something you found very cool, be that on like a visual level, be that on an audio word pun, on like a semantic level when it comes like to interpretations or how you can like extrapolate themes or whatever, do let me know. I always love to read that. That being said, if you are new to this, there is going to be probably a discussion video at the end of this video, right? I'll link it at the end of the video or in the description down below, that you can go check out. That's an extended discussion of the episode, but I will also have a little bit of a discussion after the episode, of course, where we talk about like the major themes and whatnot. What I do in like the extended discussions is often I go into detail when it comes to just the shots that are being taken, the direction, right? The symbolism, the wordplay, all of these things, because I find that very interesting and cool, and I want to share that with people, my excitement about that. But I do obviously know that not everybody is following along there, not everybody is all that interested in it or has the time, right? There's priorities as well, and I do absolutely get that. But the reception so far has been great. I'm really excited about the fact that a good deal of you I'm very interested in also seeing the discussion to the end and looking forward to that. So I'm very thankful for that. If you are not subscribed yet, go check out my other content. Subscribe if you like what you see. There's a couple of stuff coming up, but we'll talk about that later at the end of the video. So let's get into it, right? What happened last time? Last time we had the we set up the confrontation with Snake Nadeko, right? God Nadeko. Deluded Nadeko, naive Nadeko, innocent Nadeko, playing innocent Nadeko, right? Shoving everything away from you, Nadeko. That is the part of Nadeko, in my personal interpretation, that is shoving away all of these responsibilities of being somebody human, right? Of having all of these worries that current Nadeko and even past Nadeko has, because in the past, for past Nadeko, the case was that God Nadeko's inception was created by meek Nadeko because she did want to put all of that away from her, right? And this tied together with what she was doing with Araragi, with this unrequited love kind of thing, where she was just trying to play this role. My interpretation of that. And the end point of that role was, well, if I can't have the things I want to have, right? If I can't exist in this role anymore, because we had all of these developments, we cut the bangs, we kind of revealed and exposed Nadeko in the Medusa arc, and she got pushed to a point where she did have the feeling that maybe it was better to distance herself from her human self. Now, I think at some point in time, maybe at the end of the Nadeko draw, if I have the time, I want to actually go back to Nadeko Medusa on my own time and kind of look through it a little bit, understand a little bit in more detail, right? Remember what exactly it was that, like, the point and the motivation of God Nadeko was here, because I do definitely see the theme of, right, distancing yourself from your humanity, right, lifting yourself up and becoming something grander in the grander scheme of things, right? That was the whole point about the becoming a manga artist being embarrassing versus actually trying to fulfill some kind of grander goal right? Because what is a manga artist in comparison with a god? But there's a couple of things that are missing for me in terms of like what the cohesive tissue between these two things actually would be, right? The little details that go amiss and don't enable me to fulfill the complete, right, to put together all of the puzzle pieces and tell a cohesive story of like this, yeah, this is, or this has been Snake Nadeko's theme in the past. God Nadeko's theme, that was her primary point. I do remember the big points, the bits and pieces and whatnot, but it still doesn't complete to a cohesive picture to me. That being said, for current Nadeko, that is not the case. For current God Nadeko, that is not the case. I actually feel like I have a decent grasp of what is happening with current God Nadeko, and that this is the part of Nadeko, of current Nadeko, that wants to put all of these responsibilities away from her, right? The human responsibilities, the grander scheme of things. In a way, I do feel like there's a giant overlap between all of the Nadekos that she drew and created as Shikigami. And the only difference is in the details, right? The difference is in the different aspects that get highlighted and empathized throughout the specific episodes where we deal with these Nadekos. Which is also one of the reasons why last time I said, hey, it feels weird that Meek Nadeko is done, right? That she's just disappeared and she's like dead or whatever, and we'll just move on because there's so much that we are still to discuss. Unless we're actually taking this and we're putting it into another arc, right? We deal with all the other Nadekos, Wrath Nadeko, Seductive Nadeko, or Flirty Nadeko, and God Nadeko, and then Meek Nadeko, we think she's dead, and we're like, all right, everything is done, whatever, blah, blah, blah. We have another arc, and in a later point in time, in Off and Monster season, it's suddenly, oh, shit. We haven't dealt with her after all. Here's what we need to do. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know how conclusive an arc would be if we leave that out, right? How we can make a proper end bow on it, basically, which is kind of, or has been mostly the theme for a lot of the arcs that we've seen. Not all of them, mind you. Hanekawa was split throughout different arcs and had different tiny conclusions until coming to like the Tsubasa Taigen conclusion that we had. So we definitely can do these things, but I do feel like it's very difficult to find a proper ending for it, because for me, one of the things that was very unsatisfying for me and puts it as one of the lowest rated arcs of all of Monogatari regarding, right, the arc Nadeko Snake in the beginning in Bakemonogatari is that there was no clear conclusion or moral or like milestone that we reached where we were like, okay, this is an interesting end point where there's still room for stuff to happen, but we'll put an end on it. We didn't. And that was one of the big issues that just made it feel unsatisfying for me. But yeah, I don't know if we're gonna actually end Nadeko Draw in this episode. I would think that it is possible. I think there's two possibilities that are very likely. The one possibility is this is the finale, right? This is like a confrontation with God Nadeko. We're going in, we're making it happen through whatever means we thought about, and we're actually gonna manage to beat her, and we'll put a bow on it. The second option is we actually don't manage to beat her here, and we have some kind of setback and we have to re-strategize, which will lead us to maybe recruiting external forces in order to make that happen, right? Calling on a specialist or whatever. Maybe somebody can help us because they're all still around, so we can technically rely on them, but we want to do it ourselves, which is why we went in on this and why we have that confrontation right now. The duo tag team, Ononoki and Nadeko, going for it. But that isn't a necessity, right? We it's very much possible that we need more help, and actually we're going to suffer a setback in this episode. Another thing is, another possibility, it's not as strong, but I feel like another possibility would be that we deal with God Nadeko in this episode, and we actually manage to do it. And we realize, though, that the problem is Meek Nadeko is not dead after all, and we have to deal with her, and something happens that makes it very difficult for us to deal with her. That is also something I can imagine, right? The twist at the end of the twist, right? Being like, okay, shit, we dealt with her, with God, we're like, hey, yeah, we got it all, and then we want to kind of collect in Meek Nadeko into the paper, and we're looking for her, and we're like, hey, wait, she ain't here. What do we do now? But yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. Let's get into it. Monogatari, I gotta lock in for this, to be honest. Like, it's very difficult to keep up the focus and concentration to follow a Monogatari plot and at the same time notice all of these cool art things and all of the little details and whatnot. So I'm trying my best to actually follow along, but at the same time provide some commentary about what I'm thinking. Very hard to comprehend such enormous amounts of dialogue while at the same time properly trying to communicate what's going through your head. But I'm trying. Sometimes I succeed, sometimes I don't. And we start off as like with a picture of Nadeko giving you some water. Thank you very much. People, do remember to hydrate. Wait, no, I'm gonna actually... This one, I cracked that open earlier for this episode. A little bit Dr. Pepper vanilla. There you go. Very nice. You guys, take a sip. There you go. It's not in focus, I know. It's fine. It's not in focus when it's right in front of your eyes anyway. So, hydrate, people. Don't just hydrate with soda, by the way. It's just, this is a special occasion for me. Normally I use like water or orange juice or whatever. Get some vitamins and get some hydration going. And I think this almost seems like it's another story. It's not Nadeko Pool anymore, but it might still be. I mean, like the observations I made when it came to like the Nadeko Pool flashcards like the chapter cards and whatever, feels a lot like this is like almost all of that is happening in a day. It's like a date with Nadeko style, basically, and you're starting out with her waking up. I think that's what I remember in episode 1. And we're going our way, right? She's waking up, she's getting ready, and then we're going, like, we're seeing all of these swim boards and, like, the swimming pool and whatnot, and we see her, like, then in her, like, swimsuit and whatnot, and later on, we do see her, I don't think we'll see her going back from the swimming pool, but we saw her, like, taking the bus to the swimming pool and all of that, so it feels like you are basically on a date with her and going to the local swimming pool or whatever, and then you're going back. So it's a very interesting thing. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Tsuki is going with her or something, right? That's like a day out with like a friend or whatever. Or somebody who's potentially not yet in the picture who might be Nadeko's love interest. I can imagine that. By the way, like we do have different protagonists like Araragi and Kanbaru and whatnot, but all of them have kind of like, Araragi very quickly went with Senjukahara, but he had all of these other girls around. I can very well imagine people who play more of a center stage in Monogatari that are not Araragi actually having love interests as well, right? We did see that Kanbaru had Numachi, which wasn't quite them, but there was something going on, right? In terms of like chemistry and whatnot. And we do have other people as well that might potentially take more of a lead role in this like post-Owari Monogatari universe. But I'm rambling again. Let's go on. 27 reference books. Oh, there was something floating by, but I think it's one of the copies. This is peak delusion. Ooh, steadfast. I love the reflection. Ooh. Oh, yeah. Same haircut, same everything. We went for that. Interesting, they almost have the same demeanor. Holy shit, we're going for it. Okay. Alright, I'm very curious. Ooh, that doesn't look great. Yeah, of course you kill both. Ooh! She weaving! Holy fuck, she weaving and dodging. Ooh, how much of that is god power? That's the question, right? Is it too strong for the... Ooh. I mean, feels like that was Nadeko. Maybe that is why she couldn't capture it. I mean, yeah, she is the primary one, right? She has the powers. Holy, that is cool. Like, you wouldn't imagine that, but it makes sense. Ooh. Wait, what happened? Did she copy herself? What the fuck happened? And she... Holy shit. That is amazing. No, that is amazing. Magician's tricks, right? Diversion. Wow. Okay, that is a strong show. Nadeko is smart. Like, she got the brilliant ideas here. Fun fact, I didn't know that, but apparently 90% of this OP is respliced from Renai circulation. That is fucking amazing. To have such a great OP that feels absolutely right for the arc, and have it be 90% an old OP for the same character. Shame that the official subs in comparison to MTTB don't have the lyrics for the OP. I was hoping that after a couple of episodes we would actually get the lyrics of the OP. I mean, I've seen them, but... Part 5. Okay, we'll explain the trick. That's the perfect camouflage. Ooh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I still don't know what the hand falling out was. Mm-hmm. You activated yourself. That's fucking OP. Right. And that also can serve like a distraction at the same time. Hmm.
ことは明確に違うと僕は思うけれどね。違うというより変わったと言うべきなのかもしれないけれど。
Yeah, not different. It creates like that.
それは間違いない。みんな作り物の式神だって言うのに、生身で生きているお前が一番危険な真似をした。
To fix your stuff.
僕はお前を評価するよ。安全圏にいた神なでこからは変わり果てた。もうあの頃のお前じゃないんだ。
そんな嬉しい言葉は聞いたことがありませんでした。
It is great to be like acknowledged in that way.
悲しい言葉でもありました。
まあ代役になった式神たちの供養がしたいのなら、この経験を、その気持ちをしっかり絵にして残してやればいいんじゃないの。
絵にして残すですか。絵にして作品として思い出として残す。
I love that, the idea of like,
なでこ、
we'll talk about that.
この建物から人見知りゆえの人払いは解除された。お前はもうここから離れた方がいい。僕はここの始末をしておく。専門家なのでね。ここから先の現実的な労働はプロだけの領域だ。はっきり言ってお前はもうお呼びじゃない。だからこそ呼ばれてる方へ行ってやれ、なでこ。戦国なでこ、お前には行かなきゃいけない場所があるんだろう。
School? I don't know. No, Nadeko, not you too.
実はまだ終わってないんです。
Nah, it's never over, isn't it? Where is it? Isn't that Araragi's car?
やあ、戦国ちゃん。乗っていくかい？
Okay, what are you doing?
行き先は
大丈夫、心得ているとも。僕も戦国ちゃんと別れてから、伊達にブルマ一丁の女子中学生を探し回っていたわけじゃないよ。
扇さんは
That side glance.
何を知っているんですか？
Oh, please don't say it.
何も知らないよ。君が知っているんだよ。
Oh, okay, we're saying that. Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
星野めめさんがね、昔私のことを被害者って言ったんです。
Are we driving to Oshino?
その通りだったと思います。だけどあの頃の私が被害者で
Exactly, right?
確かなんです。
Using that as a shield.
好かれて、恨まれて、嫌われて、呪われて、全部受動体で自分からは何もしませんでした。
Yeah.
だけど私があの時人から好かれようと思ってなかったって言えるでしょうか。恨まれるようなことをしなかったって言えるでしょうか。嫌われるようなことをしなかったって言えるでしょうか。
Inaction is also an action in Wake.
って言えるでしょうか。
Oh, I love the music.
何の話をしているのか、僕には点でさっぱりわからないな。何？向こうから見れば君に原因があるって言いたいの？いじめられる方も悪いってやつかい？
そうは言いません。向こうのやったことは最悪だと思います。だけど私のことを好きになってくれた人や私の友達だった人が最悪になるのを
I didn't stop them from becoming the worst. Okay, might be a little weirdly worded. Okay.
続けることで周囲をみんな加害者にしてしまいました。
ガンチク
Yeah.
の話だね。だけどそれが今どういう関係があるのかな。全部昔の話だろ。
全部今の話なんです。制作した4体の式紙の中で私はそういう被害者だった頃の戦国なでこを、大人でこをどこかで一段低く見ていました。だから彼女は他の3人の戦国なでこにいいように利用されていると最初からガチガチに決め
Yeah,
つけていました。
I mean, that was.
全部彼女が被害者だからと決めつけていました。4体の中で大人でこが一番弱かった。だけど弱い彼女だからこそ強い彼女たちを利用することに全く躊躇がなかった。
Yeah.
この私が 生きることを人任せにしていたように、大人
Yeah.
猫は戦うことを、逃げることさえ他の3人に任せていた。
大人でここそが黒幕だったっていうのかい？でも仮にそうだったとしても、大人でこは本棚に押しつぶされてぺしゃんこになったんじゃなかったっけ？
Shikigami.
本棚に押しつぶされたクールナデコが大人デコの本体だ。
Oh, that's two. Right? He could have copied herself.
クールナデコもまた紙ナデコが大量生産した式紙の一体だったのだとして、
だとしたら、大人デコは君も含めた他の戦国ナデコを手玉に取って一体何をしようとしていたんだい？
大人デコがしたかったのは時間稼ぎだったんです。 本当に
Oh, I love that with the rain.
時間稼ぎ。
And what did she really want to do?
魚デコが待ち伏せしている間に、あの子だけは自分がしたいことをしようとしてたんです。
Alright.
でも
The core of your desire.
本当はもう知ってるんでしょ？大人デコがしたかったこと、今でもしたいと思ってること。
What is that?
先を心得ているというのなら。
そうだね。あいにく僕にはそれが褒められたこととは思えないけれど。
はい。だから止めに行くんです。そうしないとこの物語は終わらないんです。
Great shot. That reminds me of Madoka, kind of.
ついたよ。
Alright.
君がしたかったこと。やり残
Yeah,
している
Senjugahara's house, of course.
恋敵だった戦場ヶ原先輩をぶっ殺すことだろう。
I'm still kind of confused on that exactly, but alright. We'll talk about that. I was about to say, right? What?
下り顔でさっそうと登場しやがった。今すぐ直江津高校に向かえ。直江津高校の正門前だ。
She integrated some Rav Nadeko here, I feel. Alright, so the high school.
大人デコ。無駄だよ。あの人はもうここにはいないんだよ。
Okay, so it's all Araragi.
誰も
Okay,
いつま
makes
でも
sense.
中学2年生じゃいられないし、14歳じゃいられないんだよ。ここで待ってても無駄なの。
You're waiting in the past. Maybe it's her regrets, right? In a way.
ここで待っててもダメなの。私はダメだったの。すごくダメだったの。待ち続けていても誰も幸せにならなかった。思い続けていてもみんな傷つくだけだった。だからあなたはここにいちゃいけないの。私はここにいちゃいけないの。
It's like we're going back and correcting something.
最初からちゃんと分かってたでしょ？私が分かっていたんだから。ごめんなさい。なでこが悪かったです。
Not really. Stop it.
ねえ、聞いて。
Hmm.
ずっと同じ場所にいるなんて誰にもできないんだよ。中学2年生にも高校3年生にも神様にも吸血鬼にもそんなこと
To be alive is to keep changing.
なっちゃうんだよ。永遠に待っていても白馬の王子様は迎えに来てはくれないし、
Maybe it's more the principal than Araragi.
ないし、すやすや寝たふりをしていてもキスで起こしてくれたりしない。だからこんなところでいつまでも待ってないで、みんなのところに戻ろう。みんながあなたを待ってるから。小びなでこも魚でこも紙なでこもあなたが自分から動き出すのを待ってるから。
Hmm. I love the warm colors.
じゃあもう好きじゃないの？
Interesting question here.
好きなのに、待ってるだけで楽しいのに、思ってるだけで幸せなのに、他に何もいらないのに、なのにもう好きじゃないの？
I mean, she's
思い出 なくなっちゃったの？そんなつまらない未来なの？なでこはそんな大人になっちゃったの？
Is the future that boring?
大人でこ、私は
I'm very, very excited about this response.
約束する。また私は誰かのことを好きになるって約束する。
Yeah, it's the principle.
人を好きになることを私はやめない。
Hmm.
待ってるだけで楽しくて、思うだけで幸せだったことを私は忘れない。
A part that wishes for love, romance, connection,
絶対に失敗にはしない。夢を
and learning from your heartbreak.
懲りもせずに恋もする。他に何もいらなかった気持ちを思い出す。
Hmm.
きっとあなたがなりたい私になるから、がっかりされない私でいるから。だからもう待つのはやめて。
Oh, that is great. The way we're retreading exactly what Meek Nadeko is about. Wow, okay, and the haircut, holy shit, that... I love that visual change. I love that. Never seen her like that, right? Yeah, this is what I was expecting. This is what I was missing the last time.
あなたの辛さは、あなたの痛みは、あなたの可愛らしい失恋は、全部私が面白いままにしてあげるから。
And this is what it's all about, right? Authorship. You don't have any stories in your life. What are you gonna tell, right? Where do you draw from?
天国なでこ、15歳。発展途上で成長中で瞑想中。未熟なばかりの半人前。
That is the essence of being an artist.
まだまだ大人になんてなれそうもありませんけれど。
What even does that mean?
ほんの少しだけお姉さんになりました。
Yeah, you sure as hell did. I guess that's the end of it, right? Right? A boring future, now it makes sense. Even with like the more obscure lines that we have in the ED. Wonder if we're gonna get a new ED after that. These episodes are over way too soon. I can't believe we're almost halfway through. I don't want this to end. Legit, it does feel like another Baka Monogatari, honestly. Ooh, we have so much left.
いつか思い出になるこれから。
The epilogue. The punchline.
事情は知らないけど、とりあえず玄関のこととか引き抜かれてた。
Ooh.
私がかばっておいてあげる。
Okay, Tsuki.
多分私の親友のなでこちゃんが勝手に留守宅に上がり込んでいろいろ悪事の限りを尽くしたんだと思うけど、悪気はないと思うから許してあげて。
I don't call that covering up, but okay.
ほぼ分かってくれていませんでした。
Fucking Tsuki-L.
そう蔑んだ目で見てやるから。
Ooh. Where did you come from?
やつを曲がりなりにも輪がある
主様の妹子じゃからの。
Oh, so you can move in her shadow?
血縁があれば影渡りは可能じゃわい。もっとも
I've never heard about that before.
ではあるからの。影の持ち主の疲労は激しい。じゃから下げすんでやるな。
The upside down shot again.
手土産じゃ前髪娘。
Banks girl. Still calling her Banks girl.
娘と言うべきかの。うぬと一緒に食べようと思うての。聞けばうぬ、絵に描いたものを立体とできる技能を身につけたそうではないか。じゃから試みにこれらを描いて。
She just wanted the donuts. She just wanted the donuts.
描き上がったドーナツを紙面から立体化することには成功しましたが、味の方が大失敗でした。
やはり食べ物は無理か。わしの物質創造能力でも有機物はほとんど作れんしの。じゃあ次は精密機械を実験してみようか。
Precision. Alright.
ええ、実際そこから続いたのは実験でした。どうやらしのぶちゃんは実験をする風を装って特殊技能の使い方をレクチャーしてくれていたのを
Ooh.
感じました。
Okay.
しのぶちゃんは
What, the alien? What?
いかにもどうでもなさそうに、しかし根節丁寧に享受してくれていたのです。
式紙の使い方についてはわしから言えることはないの。眷属を2回作って2回とも失敗しとるわしじゃからな。
Fucking true. Also, Aragi being called a failure.
なんじゃい
Low-key. Not really, but...
私のことたまたま可愛いだけって今でも思う？
Ooh, yeah, that stuck with her. That one sentence she said.
キョトン
She doesn't even remember, I think.
誰ぞにそんなことを言われたのか。心ないことを言うやつがいるもんじゃの。
She just said that, and she took it so seriously back then. I remember that.
今度そんなアホなことを言う愚か者がおったらわしのところに連れてこい。わしがきっちり保証してやろう。600年生きた怪異の王であり、鉄血にして熱血にして冷血の吸血鬼と呼ばれたこのわしを数千回にわたって殺してのけ、しかもそんな神の座を自ら降り、絶大な力を捨てて人間に戻るという決断をしてのけ、今もそうして立派に生きておるうぬがたまたま可愛いやつなわけがないじゃろう。可愛さ余って憎さ100倍じゃよ。
憎さ。
I didn't even peek that. I need to go back to that.
知らんが、うぬみたいなやつはたとえ100回生まれ変わってもまたまた憎たらしいやつじゃろうよ。
しのぶちゃんこそ憎いこと言ってくれますね。
You do indeed.
結局夕方まで寝た挙句夕飯まで食べて帰った月日ちゃんでした。
What a carefree life, Tsukihi. Welcome back, Ononoki. Seems you got fixed.
いい話を持ってきた。今回のお前の冒険を報告したら、ガーエンさんは痛くお前の特殊技能に興味を示してね。ぜひ手伝ってほしい仕事があるそうだ。
Ooh. Specialist Nadeko?
その結果次第では、それ以降も定期的にお前に仕事を手伝ってほしいと言っている。それくらい高く、ガーエンさんはお前に価値を見出したようだよ。
Ononoki, stop playing with your food.
式神使いの腕前自体をガーエンさんは評価したわけじゃない。
ふう
評価したのはトラブルに対する落ち着いた対処だよ。
Ooh.
暴走した4体の式神をその日のうちに全員回収してみせたお前の手腕は
With a little help, but yeah.
よっぽど抜きん出ていると言っていいよ。
ひょっとしてだからおののきちゃん私に
But I said that she's really smart about it.
その通りだよ、ナデコ。僕はプロの専門家としてシビアでドライでビジネス
Business-like.
業界の
Of course.
発展のためにひいては自分が楽をするために
So that I could take it easy.
どうして僕がお前みたいなやつに親切にしていたのか、これで分かっただろう。
Stop being a tsun.
わかりましたとも。おののきちゃんは嘘が下手だってことが。
未成年のお前にガエンさんも無茶な仕事を回しはしないだろう。もちろん
How very responsible of her.
目指してもらっていい。拘束時間はまちまちだけれど、まあ取材のつもりで不可思議な世界を覗いてみるのもいいんじゃないのかい。お前一人が家を出られるくらいの稼ぎは保証できるよ。
よもやこのようなオチが待っているなんて、去年疲れた時には思いもよりませんでしたよ。分不相応にもガラスの靴を求めたこともありましたし、うつむいてばかりいる割に足元がおろそかになってるなんて言われたりしましたけれど、どうやら私は漫画家と専門家の二足のわらじを履くことになりそうです。
That is cool.
これも打足だって思いますか？
Nah, this is gonna be fine. Please look forward to Nadeko Sensei's next work. Alright! We're done with Nadeko Draw? Is that it? Are we at the end? The punchline was set. I was making a joke with the punchline because we had the thing in Koyomi Monogatari and whatnot, but apparently not. Apparently we have the punchline now. Right, that was cool. Actually, I have to quickly head out for a second and do something, but we'll be back with the discussion in just a second. I gotta make a wipe. Maybe I'll make a clock wipe this time around. How about that? How about that? And with that clock wipe, we are back. We're back in the realm of Monogatari, and we go through it for a second. We'll talk about it. I really love how we go straight back in, but we have the reveal very quickly, right? We don't need to drag this out or anything. I love how we are still having the fish eye lensy perspective a lot of times when we're looking at Nadeko, like current Nadeko, under pressure. I think that is very, very cool and very telling for the situation she's in. She's handling pressure very well, right? I thought that throughout the entire thing. She had great ideas. She was constantly facing what she was doing, despite her saying in the beginning, I don't know if I can handle this responsibility, right? All of these things. She still was able to do that really, really well in general. Handle all of that. Love the reflection, and we do see suddenly, wait, right? At first we're kind of like, well, Nadeko in both of the eyes reflected makes sense, but then we see, wait, there's another one right next to it, and we do see. For a second you need to think about it, then it clicks, you're like, holy shit, one of them is Raf Nadeko. But that's not even the twist. The twist is that she's actually hiding within like the Luma Nadekos, and those two are actually drawn Shikigami, and I'm like, holy fucking shit, that was actually smart. That was really smart. Because we didn't go for like a weird, like, intelligent, but we went for a really intelligent play. Final showdown, love how that impact shot goes, right? They're both looking up, we have the slight camera shake. Both of them are looking the same, especially. That is very interesting. Both of them are looking kind of like current Nadeko would be looking with, she has like gathered herself. It looks partially also like Raf Nadeko, so it's really cool. And it feels, oftentimes it feels like whenever we're like past a certain stage, she has integrated parts of these other Shikigami into herself and into how she behaves. So it's very hard to tell which one is which actually, because now they're intermingled in a way. Curtains rise. Love the like almost like Olympian runner style thing, right? If we're like doing some, yeah, and all of the bookshelves. I don't know about that frame. That looks kind of weird as fuck, but well, we'll take it. And they're both having paper. She's like, oh well, what the fucking pain. Love the shadow work on her here. That like the shadow is like slightly red, but it's at the side of her face. And that is a really, really, really cool effect. That is a really, really cool effect. And almost looks like some of the snake drawings that we've seen in Medusa. I don't even know if that came, like, if that was a thing that was used in Snake Medusa, but it wasn't that specific way. And I love how all of the little crackle lightning parts are little snakes that are coming out of there. That is amazing attention to detail. It's insane. Look at that. Every one of them is a snake. Holy fuck. And she's slinging them. She's dual wielding. Yeah, really cool. All these shots are insane. They're crazy. And we're gonna go from Olympic running to spear throwing. Holy fuck. Look at that. Ducking behind that. And we have some real animation that reminds me of Suruga Monkey or something. Not exactly, because with Suruga Monkey we had that like lucid, LSD trippy, like weird color shifts. Here we don't have that, but it's still really cool. Right? Animation. They show that they can not just yap, they can also animate properly. Like, even beyond directing, we have really, really cool shots. And that was one thing where I was like, oh yeah, she can technically probably get them into the paper, but she can't. So I was like, one of my theories was, yes, since God Nadeko is kind of a section of Nadeko that is very much powerful, represents that powerful god, whatever aspect of herself that she actually still has in terms of like the powers and whatnot, she would be more powerful and would be harder to actually catch something like these powerful attacks that are happening. And we're killing all the little Nadekos. They all evaporate into paper, which is really cool. But one thing I was like, surely that was Wrath Nadeko, and this is like current Nadeko. Well, that was Wrath Nadeko right here, right? Who was hit. First one defeated. And she's going to the other one. Great shot of her face once again. And we're zooming out. That is such a cool zoom out shot. Look at that. Readying the spear. The spear's right in our face on the camera, right? We shift like almost, we're looking at the ceiling and we're warping away from her. And it really, you do really feel like she's gathering that power and momentum, and then it zooms out from there. Really, really amazing. We do the side angle and then we do the 180. Well, not right 180, you know what I mean. And it's coming right to her, but she's kicking the books into it. Really cool how they play with the environment and everything. And she's just throwing it out the window, but she's coming in. I do love how demonic. Demonic. I do love how she can actually stand her ground, and it makes sense, right? This is current Nadeko Shikigami, and she is powerful. She has that god part within herself because it's current Nadeko. It's like it's representing everything, right? Just a copy of everything that current Nadeko is in a way. Maybe weaker than the actual current Nadeko, but it has all of these powers and whatnot that also incorporate the part that is God Nadeko. So in a way, that these god powers, they're not as present in the copy of current Nadeko, right? Because they're just one part of a lot of them. And every Shikigami, I would assume, makes one whole and is kind of on equal level when it comes to like like being a vessel basically for different aspects. And since God Nadeko represents the pure, unbridled godhood of what she was as God Nadeko, it obviously would be more prominent in God Nadeko and she would be stronger in a way. But it's like, in that moment, I was still thinking this is actual current Nadeko. This is not a Shikigami. I was thinking, holy shit, yes, she can fight against it because she is everything that God Nadeko is and more. But, and that is where I was actually shocked, where I was like, holy shit, what a twist, right? What do we do now? We ended with her also being fucked up, but Nadeko changed, interestingly enough, right as soon as the rage is gone and she thinks that the threat is over, she changes from the red dress into the white dress. And she explodes into smoke and mirrors, and this is when it becomes apparent, holy shit, I was led astray. I was like, yes, this is a twist. Like, second later, I was like, yeah, it makes perfect sense. This is what I was expecting, kind of, but also not. Right? It's super surprising. They're both bluffs. And suddenly we do see that she is among the other Nadekos. And the only factor that kind of differentiates is obviously her haircut and the glint in her eyes. So I'm like, yeah, she needed a distraction because of the haircut. She wouldn't fit in perfectly, but from afar, people would be like, all right, this is like another just Luminatico, whatever. But she managed it. She made it happen. I'm still not sure why Ononoki's, oh yeah, because it was, of course, Ononoki's hand was at the back of God Nadeko, of course, and that is why it fell out. And this is the moment that everything disappears. Love that, how she's like clutching it like that. And it almost seems like she's kind of at peace. And then we go into the OP like very, very late with that. I'm still not sure what like the last puppet is here. Right, we do have Ogi, Araragi and whatnot. Almost feels like it's Senjo because it's like it's purple. But I don't know. Ogi really threw me off with that like driving to Senjogahara, by the way, but we'll talk about that in a second. Yeah, large scale operation, 100 Luminati. Well, we don't need to explain this, right? We had that. We drew another one, we went in, we solved it, and that's really, really cool. And we do have, once again, a really great bonding moment between Ononoki and Nadeko. Never received such words that made me feel so happy, right? Acknowledging that somebody developed, right? Acknowledging that somebody made progress and became a more mature person, right? Grew as a person. That is powerful, right? Because we live, like humans live a lot through feedback as well, right? Through observation of how people perceive us and taking in what people tell us and say about us, which is why it is so harmful to actually be in a situation where you only receive negative feedback, especially if you're young. And this is amazing, just getting praised for making progress, even if it seems obvious oftentimes, right? Even if it seems obvious, somebody changed, whatever. It can be a very powerful motivator for people to actually be appreciated by your friends. Love that angle, love the way it's shown. And this is, right, we'll talk about that in the larger discussion. This is the essence of art. Making all of these mistakes and experiences and whatnot and turning them into something to preserve them also for the future, right? The ideas, the feelings, the emotions. The real labor from this point on is a realm of prose. Simply put, your presence is no longer necessary. She's like, you still got something to do. Dianthus, fringed pink. Not sure what that means, to be honest. Ogi, what are you doing with Araragi's car? Honestly. Just, the fuck? Hello? Did you steal it? What? Yeah. And she's like, I got you. We're driving there. We're driving away from the bookstore, past the Mr. Donuts, along the coastline. And Nadeko's kind of going into herself. She's like, I was passive throughout all of it. I didn't cause any of those actions, right? Oh, loved, begrudged, hated, all of these things that happened. A victim. I was putting myself down as a victim. And maybe that is not wrong, right? It's not wrong to actually acknowledge that somebody was a victim of something, right? But to wallow in that, right? To stay in that state of perpetual victimness. Which is one of the things that they had like as a very, very serious conversation between Ogi and Nadeko when all of this kicked off with like the Medusa and whatnot. And I know Medusa was in a way, I think, overcoming that victim status, right? Going from one strategy to the other, right? Going from everything is just happening to me and people put their expectations into me and I want to fulfill them, and this is kind of what gives my life meaning in a way, going beyond and being like, no, I'm not the victim anymore, I can decide now. And I'm everything else, like all of these things are beneath me, which was the God Nadeko approach, right? But also naivete in a way that like all of this doesn't concern me anymore. But can I say that back then I didn't think about wanting to be loved by others? Can I say that I never did anything to be cursed? Absolutely no clue what you're talking about. She's like, oh, what do you mean? You want to say that from the other side you're the root cause? No, you're not the root cause, but right, you were part of it in many of these, like the way you behaved, right? Is that logic similar to how a bullied person is also in the wrong? No, a bullied person is not in the wrong. But, how do you put that? A bullied person is not in the wrong. But if you use that status as a bullied person and extend it to all of your life, if all that you do, everything that you accept, and everything you perceive as well is seen through the lens of I'm just the victim, then it can become very easy to use that as an excuse, right? To slide into that. I think what the other side did was the worst thing ever. Yes, 100%. But for those who loved me, my friends, I didn't stop them from becoming the worst. I say that. I didn't stop them from becoming the worst. It's very hard to interpret that. I feel like it's not properly translated. I cared too much about myself and didn't do that. By continuing to be the victim forever, I made everyone around me the wrongdoers, right? Like by taking that approach as a get-go, right? As a status that reaches beyond the specific situations in which I very well am a valid victim. That means that whenever I go into an interaction and somebody pushes back against maybe what I want to happen or what I want to do, playing the victim in that case, or not playing the victim, but taking the victim role in that case, puts the burden of wrongdoer automatically onto the other person. We look at like the Tsukihi bank situation, right? She was the victim of Tsukihi cutting her bangs. In a way though, from Tsukihi's perspective, it is, I want to help you actually because I think you need this, right? And obviously Tsukihi is like just like spontaneous, right? She's impulsive. And also for Araragi's perspective, right? Her being in love with Araragi and Araragi not reciprocating that love because that's just not how that goes, makes her kind of the victim of an unrequited love situation. You're applying a lot there. All stories from the past. Yeah. But she's like, no, this is the present. The current Shikigami, all the Shikigamis I created took the Nadeko Sengoku, who was the victim, so to say, and looked down on me, Nadeko, as someone who was lesser, right? I thought she was gonna be pushed around on all of these things, but she's saying, because I perceived her only as the victim, as weak and whatnot, I did not expect, right? Because she was weak, she had no hesitation taking advantage of the stronger ones, right? Because there's a way you can turn this victimhood to your advantage by saying, hey, I take advantage of the fact that you have more power than me and you are aware that you have more power than me, right? And make sure that by me playing the role I have, right? Being meek, being easy to push around, I get everybody else basically to think for me, everybody else to do things for me, right? To, in a way, almost protect me, right? Coddle me. That is taking advantage. Even though maybe sometimes it's okay to be coddled, it's okay to be taken care of, but that is taking advantage by doing that almost as a behavioral pattern, right? Always shielding yourself behind, I'm so weak, I'm the victim, I'm so cursed, right? And it's all unfair, right? The entire world is unfair to me. Just like how I left it to other people on how to live my life, right? And we had the connection to the last episode where we were like, choose how to live your life. And today we say, yeah, I was kind of pushing that onto other people, that responsibility kind of, right? The responsibility for my parents to tell me this is what you should do. The responsibility for Tsukihi to say, hey, look, you need to stop hiding behind your bangs. The responsibility for Araragi to say, to reject you, right, in a way, and hurt you and make you a victim again, or to accept you because he can't bring it over him, right? He can't bring it over himself to actually reject you, right? And keeping you in that state of limbo. Not a true mastermind, but certainly complicit. Right. And it wasn't that was a twist I was actually not expecting, right? I was more thinking along the lines of it's a Shikigami, yeah, it can get crushed, but it won't, right, die. But maybe it will. I don't know that, right? Ononoki is a special case. Anyway, love the rain, by the way. I said that in the episode. But I didn't expect this to actually maybe be a double, right? And that makes perfect sense. Luminar or cool Nadeko making a copy or letting a copy be made of herself and putting it there and then being like, you know what? I'm out of here. And we come to the conclusion. Amazing shot of the window. Reflection and all that. Symbolism, whatnot. Waiting to ambush to defend herself, right? And we talk about that. Lady Nadeko was standing out. Raf Nadeko was hiding to ambush, right? In order to defend herself. And she was the only one who was trying to do what she wanted to do. I'm going to stop her. If I don't, the story will not end. And that is true. To kill her of Senjugaru was your romantic rival, right? She goes out, she's like, what in the fuck are you, silly goose? Right? The fuck are you? I think Oki's trolling here. Oki's just like, fuck it, I can't give you the solution, right? You have to find the solution yourself. I'm just gonna troll you. Or maybe she's just a fucking silly idiot, like Araragi sometimes is. And I do love, because that very moment it feels like this is literally Raf Nadeko. And it kind of writes home this point of reintegrating all of these other parts of yourself into yourself. And this is Raf Nadeko, right? Coming through, kind of. How can you have such a knowing look and arrive so gallantly when you're so slow to understand? She's like shaking her. You're like, drive me there right now. And this is where I was... Amazing shot. This is where I was kind of confused. I'm gonna be quite honest. I did not quite pin... Like, obviously, there's all of these elements where I was like, yeah, I understand that. But I had doubts within my mind regarding some of the specifics, such as she's waiting at the high school. Why is she waiting at the high school? Is she waiting for Araragi? Is she waiting for Araragi? That's the main question, and the answer would be yes. But if she is waiting for Araragi, is it because Nadeko ultimately truly loved Araragi? Right? When did she do that? Because we had like the conclusion at the end of, I don't know when it was exactly, but in Medusa, where it was like, actually, this whole thing with Araragi is kind of also an excuse she's putting up front. But obviously it makes sense. In hindsight now, right? And this is why I was kind of insecure in how to interpret that, is it makes sense that at some point in time, Nadeko had a real, honest, serious crush on Araragi, right? Like an actual falling in love kind of thing. Idolized him, put him on a pedestal, all of these things, right? And that reached into her Meek Nadeko phase where slowly but steadily, with events happening, this changed, right? It became less about Araragi himself as a person and more about the principle of trying to stay in this state, right? Trying to stay in this state of pining for somebody, of like, right, crushing on somebody, feeling great about it, right? Trying to make something happen and being miserable, right? Being like miserable in yourself in those moments where you realize that it might never happen, right? One-sided love kind of deal. And it, like, you can't have, like, there's no clear cutoff point for that. It slowly but steadily changed into that, but it used to be, in the very beginning, obviously a genuine crush. And this is, I think, what I had to relearn, what had to be driven home to me. And it is in this very scene, this beautiful, beautiful scene that is being done here. It's like you're wasting your time. And once again, we have the school gates. Very looming, very fish-eye. School gates that we've seen so many times, honestly. It's useless. That guy is not here anymore. Nobody stays an 8th grader forever. Funny thing, because also Junibyo and whatnot, right? Also a little bit of an implication, because Junibyos like to live in the world of their own imaginations in a way. But also just going through the different stages of her. They can't be 14 years old forever. And we're not looking at her directly. This is such an amazing artistic shot, right? We're looking at the reflection of her, but we know she's looking at her. It's like almost like this is a reflection of her past, but also a reflection of what's inside of her still. She has regrets, low-key. She's still hanging and clinging onto this feeling that she had, right? Her love, her heartbreak, and all of that connected to that, right? Her holding on to a certain time in her life, a certain time where she felt a certain way. More like Araragi himself. And she's talking to herself here. Waiting for him, waiting here, it won't do you any good. It wasn't good for me, it wasn't good for anybody. Nobody became happy. And we're reflecting through all of the Nadekos. Even if I kept pining, it only hurt everyone. That's why I can't be here, you know, something like that from the beginning. Was my fault. I'm sorry. And this hits her hard because, again, she's taking on the victim role, right? It was, in a way, right? She's admitting fault, but in a way that makes her appear as if she is admitting it as somebody who is the victim and just taking it on in order to take the blame because she's so like she's easy to be pushed around. And she's reaching for her and she's like, look at me, look at me, look me in the eyes. Nobody can stay in the same place forever. Not as anybody, not even a vampire. And we kind of flash to Araragi's house. A prince won't come. Right? Nobody will wake you up with a kiss or give you a glass slipper. You can't wait in the past forever. Like, all of these versions of me, all these parts of me are waiting for that little part of me that's still clinging on to this past that I have, right? Because most of these Nadekos, Flirty Nadeko, Wrath Nadeko, God Nadeko, they were all kind of very fluent, temporary states of Nadeko. With God Nadeko being the endpoint, and all of these originated from Meek Nadeko. Meek Nadeko was a very constant point in the past. They're all waiting for you to take action on your own, right? The first time that you would take action, because all of these times you just put it into other people's hands to take action for you, or to tell you exactly where to step. Telephone lines. This reminds me of Kisu Monogatari, right? That shot specifically. And we have the theme that we have throughout all of this Nadeko draw arc, that we do have the big, bright sky, all the time, like in different colors, mind you, this time in like a sunset color, almost like it's the end of a story, pushing down on little tiny Nadeko. Don't you love him anymore? It was so fun just to wait for him. Don't need anything else. I just need to be all about this idea. You can't remember anymore? Did you get bored? Did you forget? It's like all of these episodes, right? This entire arc has been Nadeko who has moved on to a degree, but moved on to a new obsession, to a new thing that she focuses all of her life on. And this is the entire arc is Nadeko realizing that you can't just cut off your past and focus on the new obsession that you have, but you have to take and integrate all of these parts of yourself that were once upon a time parts of your history, parts of how you felt, parts of who you were, right? And that they still exist within the current you, and by pushing them away from you, right? By keeping them below the line of your conscious interpretation of the world, by not keeping them in focus and trying to develop those parts as well, you are not having a coherent sense of self, and you are not a complete person. And this is her journey to be a more complete person, right? We're never really complete, but to be a more complete person and to understand that it takes more than just one little aspect of your life and focusing on it to live your life. Because you need your social aspects, right? Your outgoingness, your in the center stageness, right? Your social skills and all of that, and your desire, right, to connect to people. You need your resistance, your wrath, your steadfastness, your resolve, your willingness to risk things and to go on the attack, right? Not just be passive, and to reject things that you don't like. You need that as well. And sometimes you need your innocence and your naivete and your distance from humanity in a way, in order to just kind of have more of that with you. And you also need all of these things that you're still holding on to, that you're gripping on to, the possibilities that you might have denied yourself, right? In this specific case, obviously, the possibility that once again she can fall in love, have heartaches, have pine after somebody, right? Be in the situation where almost nothing else matters, right? Keep that possibility open and not close yourself off to it. But it makes sense why she did that for a while, right? It makes sense why she closed herself off to that for a while, why she avoided Araragi and the Araragi household in general, because she needed some distance to that. But reintegrating that was her journey here. That and a lot of other things. I promise you, I will fall in love with someone again, I promise you. It will be the same, or not the same, but it will be similar again, right? I won't close myself off to the possibility of that experience. I will not forget that waiting was so fun and that I was happy just pining for him. I will not forget that part of me and book it down as something that was stupid and foolish and didn't work, and I will never do it again. But it's one page in my book, and I will be remembering that and for the future. I'll make sure that I become the person you wanted me to become. And because all of the past selves, you want to make sure that all of the aspects of yourself that represents kind of who you maybe in a singular fashion were at a certain point in time for a certain amount of time, that all of these looking into the future and hoping for a certain future get their wish fulfilled in one way or another. A lot of beautiful shots there. We'll look at that in the actual art. I call it art discussion, okay? Maybe we'll call it art discussion. And we'll close with that, but we'll have like an addendum and everything. Tsuki coming in being like very not helpful, being like, that was Nadeko, by the way, but forgive her, please. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Mamaragi will forgive her. Oh, holy fuck. And but I didn't expect that. Interesting that she can just switch shadows at this point. Cool stuff. And we do like parody the scene that they had a while ago when they met and she was looking upside down at her. Or was that like the scene where she was talking to Hanekawa? I don't even know anymore. To the cat? Nah, I think that was a scene like that was also between her and Nadeko. Otherwise they wouldn't have brought it up right here. It's really cool. I wonder who asked her to do that, because Shinobu like teaching her how to use her powers and how to be like how to do that responsibly and whatnot. I mean, she's certainly involved, and probably Aragi and Shinobu whatnot are still doing oddity stuff. You never get out of that, right? You're almost drawn to it, or they're drawn to you, right? I made minions twice and failed both times. Holy shit, rip Aragi. I mean, you failed making a minion, I guess that makes sense. But something good came out of it, didn't it? And that one sentence that stuck with her, with like, where this is one of the examples where it can be like, look at how different people perceive things. At Nadeko, that was one of the sentences, you're just cute, right? That stuck so hard with her, that triggered her immensely, and then made her so, that caused so much turmoil in her, and that she kept to this point, right? She kept that in her memory. Shinobu was like, wait, did I say that? Like, what? She forgot about it like a couple of months later. And wiped it from her memory because it wasn't significant for her in terms of like what she did. Also, but just fucking pay attention to who you actually say things to. It can actually have massive impact. That's true for everybody, by the way, right? I somehow feel deflated, and so simply I felt like my curse had been lifted, right? Like the absolute disregard that she showed to that made her kind of feel like that was an insignificant thing to have turmoil about. It wasn't in the end, right? Because it was something that was very problematic for her personally, and so it made sense that she was processing it and that she was paying extreme attention to it and whatnot. But it might not have been good to have that emotional response to that. It might, or it had revealed something that was really amiss in Nadeko's development and kicked all of that off. Been called iron-blooded, then voluntarily abdicated the seat of the god that held such power. You rid yourself of such immense power and decided to become a human again. To live a grand life to this day like you're doing now. There's no way that you just happen to be cute, right? You're more than that. And that is just a confirmation for her to say yes. But she has to put one in, right? She's like, even if you re-guy 100 times, I'm sure you'd be a hateful individual, right? There is a part of you in there that is God Nadeko, right? That is ignorant, wants to not know anything specific about the world, wants to remain that innocence, but also wants to be hateful towards people who are opposed to you. Just like that whole victim mentality of the meek Nadeko, but kind of turned to 11 in a way, I feel. But yeah. And with that, Ononoki is back. We recap the entire thing. I think it's really cool that they became friends. Really nice that this was something coming out of that business, like. And she's playing with the ice. I do like. That reminds me of a scene that I can't show on YouTube, by the way. Right? It's become a meme or something. It's really nice to end this with like just sticking around, looking at the stars, which is like reminds me of end of Bakemonogatari. I think episode 12 it was, or 13 or something. Was a really nice one. Ophiuchus. I have to actually look that up and see what kind of star sign that is. But she's becoming a specialist, which is really cool. She can earn some money on the side, and hopefully maybe she's going back to school as well. That would be a cool thing. But either way, she can take care of herself, right? Earn money, make a living, and become a manga artist. And that's that. That has been Monogatari episode 6, Nadeko Draw 5. The end of the arc, probably. Yeah, I'll be seeing you in the discussion, hopefully. And I'll also be seeing you in the next episode of Monogatari. Check out the Discord, check out the Patreon and all of that stuff. Goodbye.